Hey guys, welcome to Tiny House Customs. I'm Dan. Probably my number one question that I get about building a tiny house is about the essential tools that you need to build a tiny house. So I'm going to do a three-part video series. The first part is going to be the tool belt, one tool that I feel is extremely essential and will help you efficiently build your tiny house. The second would be the most essential power tools. I'll go over things that you need to know about power tools when you're buying those. And then the third one will be those luxury tools that you don't really need, but I have, and they help make my projects go a lot smoother. I end up with a better quality and so forth. So this first part is going to be about my tool belt. So I'm going to start with the most basic and important tools and work towards the not so important tools. So to start out, what you see in almost all my videos, and I never really talk about, is my tool belt. This tool belt holds things that I use constantly when I'm building something. This tool belt is over 10 years old. It's Occidental leather, I think it's called. It's a $250 tool belt. Very expensive, but it has lasted 10 years. When I first got into the business, I would go to Home Depot, Lowe's, and I would buy just a cheap leather one or a fabric one, and I would blow through it in about a year. And most of the guys that I worked with had this setup, so I purchased it, and it's pretty much at the end of its life, but I can't justify spending $250 because I'm not doing it full time. So if you're going to go get a belt, just go to Home Depot, Lowe's, spend $50, and just get a shitty belt, basically. And this is going to hold things that you use all the time. The number one thing is a tape measure. I recommend a Fat Max 35 footer. Now it is 35 feet long, but I always had a rule when I did it professionally is to never go past 25 feet. When you go past 25 feet, dirt and sand get inside the tape measure, and then over time this thing won't go back in because it's all caked in there with mud and stuff. So I always just went to 25 feet. If I had to go over, I have a 100-foot tape measure that I would use for longer lengths. But generally with a tiny house, you're not going to have to go over. If you're over 28 feet, I'm sorry, you're not a tiny house. You're not a tiny house if you're over 20 feet, personally, but that's just because I have a 20 and I need to put myself in that one, but that's all right. And then to go with your tape measure, carpenter's pencil. You can get a box of like 10 of these for like $2. They're really cheap, but a good carpenter's pencil. Carpenter's pencil is going to be flat like this. You seeing it? And you sharpen it with a utility knife. And generally, once you're done marking something, you need to square it across. So this is a speed square. They sell these at big box store for probably around $10. Not something that's unreasonable, but you definitely need this to make some quality cuts. Now, sometimes once you're done marking, you're going to have something that you're going to have to mark a straight line longer than a speed square would do. So you need a chalk line. A chalk line is just that, a line with chalk in it. It's got a little reservoir right here. You pop this open and you would fill it with this powdered chalk. And you've seen me use this, but basically you hook it onto something, you pull the line, and then when you snap it, the chalk puts a straight line in it. So you have your two marks on both ends, put it on both marks, and snap. Simple tool to use and definitely helpful. You can also use this as a level. You can get a little leveler bobber thing that goes on here. So you can set this up and watch your little bubbler leveler on it and figure it out. I've never done that, but you can do that. That's something that is available. Like I said, how to sharpen the pencil. A utility knife, this is just a basic utility knife. This isn't the one I always use, but I always get the titanium blades. They last a little bit longer. They're a little sharper. Now for the construction part of this belt, a hammer. I have a very expensive hammer, which I've talked about in many videos, but a good framing hammer, either smooth or milled face. Sometimes when you buy these things, they'll have like a grid-like pattern, and that's for framing. So when you're swinging and you're hitting the nail, the hammer will bite onto the nail better than a smooth face would. But when you hit a finished piece of wood with that, it's going to put that milled face into the work that you're working on. So figure out which one you could best utilize. A longer hammer, Vaughn makes a very nice hammer that I used for years. I'll probably link that in the description because that was a great hammer. But basically all the stuff I'm talking about in this video, if you just Google the words that come out of my mouth, then you should be able to find whatever I'm talking about. And sometimes when you're assembling stuff, you make mistakes. So a cat's paw, this is just, they're called nail pullers, cat's paws, and there's one other name I can't think of. But basically you put this little thing underneath the nail, and then you pry it, and it would pull the nail up, and you can hook it on like that and pull it. And then another thing is a chisel. Now this chisel is a blunt object. This is not for fine woodworking. This is for when I have like a blowout on a nail and I need to cut the nail off. I can put this right on that nail and hit it, and it'll break the nail off. Another tool I used to carry when I did it professionally was some bullnose pliers. It's just like that kinda. And I had a smaller handle version, but it was good for rolling nails out and cutting stuff off. It's just good to have some type of metal cutting tool on you. I also put screwdriver, like a Phillips screwdriver in there too. I forgot to say that. And then basically everything else that would go in this is stuff that you change out. So I would put, if I was framing, I would put framing nails in here, just hand framing nails. If I was back nailing plywood, I would put 2 or 3 coils of nails into the pouch so I could work for, you know, several minutes, hours, who knows how long it would be. Depends if the boss was around or not. But I would put nails in there so I could continue to work. But basically everything that goes into these pouches are the things that when you're working, you put on the ground, and then you're like, where's my tape measure? Where's my chalk line? Where's my pencil? Put them on this stuff, put it on your waist. You always have everything readily available, and you can work so much more efficiently with a tool belt on. Now the setup that I just showed you with this tool belt is strictly for framing. When I do different projects, like I kind of explained in the video, I change stuff out to make those projects go smoother. But that setup I just showed you was basically my setup that I had when I was framing professionally. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. The link for the other parts in this series, part 2 where I went over the essential power tools, and part 3 the non-essential but tools that will help your quality go up. Both those other videos will be linked in the description below, so if you're interested in checking those out, link's going to be in the description maybe. Sometimes I forget to put it there. I always forget to put it there. It's too much work for me sometimes. If you are new to my channel and you like these kind of videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you want to help support a fully fan-funded tiny house builds, I have a Patreon page linked down in the description below. For just $1 a month, you'll get advanced access to all my content, as well as behind the scene just for you videos. So those videos are just for my Patreon supporters. And I probably got about 10. Probably by the time this comes out, it'll be 15 to 20. So there's extra videos on there for you guys to see. But if you don't want to do that, if you would, just hit that like button. That's enough support for me. I appreciate that. That helps spread this channel out to other people that might be interested in either building a tiny house or building stuff, or just, I don't know, whatever you get out of this. Some people say they get entertained. I'm not entertaining. And make sure you leave your great knowledge down below, sharing your thoughts about the tools that I just showed you. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.